In this episode of Cycling Tours, I will explore the cycling network within the eastern sector of Ang Mo Kio. Hey everybody, it's Transit Evolution, and I will be here today to have a look at Ang Mo Kio's cycling path network east of the MRT tracks. This video will begin and end at the MRT station, and without further ado, let's travel along the linear park using the land underneath the MRT tracks, next to Ang Mo Kio Avenue 8. I have previously traveled along this path in the video for the southern sector, but this time I want to point out a few details along what is otherwise a place full of bare concrete. A $30,000 Terranium, likely the first large one outdoors, will be passing by us on the left at any moment now. Two more were originally planned to be installed along this linear park, but I guess that didn't happen. The path lowers to a road crossing at Street 41. This used to be a raised zebra crossing, where vehicles turning right from Avenue 8 once had a nervous time, filtering across 3 lanes of opposing traffic. Today is a signalized intersection which makes things safer for all, though at the expense of the journey times of cyclists along the park connector who now have to wait. Moving further along, I return beneath the north-south MRT line viaduct on this Dao Park connector, but we'll briefly see colour as I pass 3 murals of bottles on the pillars in the middle. These are painted by a freelance designer and are inspired by 3 well-known children's tales. The journey along this park connector is pretty rapid. In about 4 minutes, I've nearly reached the southern corner of the town from its centre. I have to make a slight deviation as I pass Renci at Ang Mo Kio, a nursing home, before the path continues again along the viaduct. It's now time to move along to Avenue 1. This 8-lane road has higher traffic volumes compared to the stretch covered in the videos for the southern and western sectors, as it leads to one of the 3 entrances into Ang Mo Kio from the Central Expressway, near the Ang Mo Kio South flyover. The shared path places you close to the carriageway, but for the purpose of linking Avenue 8 with Avenue 10, it is fine. It's not good enough for cycling to Serangoon though. Anyways, I'll travel from the south to the north, through the central roadway of neighbourhoods 4 and 5, Avenue 10, on a route that's roughly 2 kilometers long. Let's take this time to delve into the history of Ang Mo Kio New Town. It's appropriate to start the tale of Ang Mo Kio with a study of its toponyms. Ang Mo Kio was originally named after the builder of the 9 bridges spanning over the Kallang River in the vicinity, Johnson Turnbull Thompson, a government surveyor for the Straits Settlements. As Thompson was a Caucasian, the area was named after his whiteness in Mandarin as Hong Mao Chiao, or Red Hat Man Bridge. Of course, when the housing board came about to develop the new town of Ang Mo Kio in the 1970s, it was decided that such a colloquial name was inappropriate. Hence, the town got a new name that sounded very similar to the old one. Hong Mao Chiao was rebranded as Hong Mao Chiao, which means spacious and abundant bridge. Modern Ang Mo Kio started as an industrial estate for the motor repair industry, affected by the urban renewal policies of its time. However, by 1973, it was already decided that it would become a satellite town, which was eventually completed in 1980, at around the same time as Bedok and Clementi. This 7th new town in Singapore held many firsts to its name. It's the first new town to be designed in metric rather than imperial dimensions, and it's also the first to feature 5-room flats within slab blocks. Up until then, 5-room flats only exist within point blocks. From the get-go, 6 neighbourhoods were to be built in this town, each with 4,000 to 6,000 housing units, with a neighbourhood centre for itself, containing a market, a hawker centre, and some community facilities. The town centre, located in a valley between 2 hillocks serving as parklands, is amongst the largest in Singapore at the time and even today, featuring a post office, childcare, clinics, a library, a community hall, a bus interchange, a market, a hawker center, an emporium, offices, shops, and eating houses, all you need for your daily living. These facilities are scattered across individual buildings in the town center, standing in contrast with the integrated community hub model, which we see nowadays to optimize land use. It's therefore unfortunate that we will not be going past it in this series of cycling videos, as there's no cycling connectivity to it along Avenues 6 and 8 on its west and east at the moment. Anyways, light industries are located on the eastern edge of the town, primary and secondary schools are scattered throughout, and a junior college and sports complex were built north of the town centers. I hope this lengthy description of Ang Mo Kio gives you a good picture of what the planners were thinking of back in the 1970s. Crossing Avenue 3, the border between neighborhoods 4 and 5, I find myself along a stretch of Avenue 10, where the cycling path hasn't been built yet, resulting in me riding along a narrow footpath next to a drain, giving you a glimpse of how the roadside table in this town used to look before the construction of this cycling path network. The cycling path here was supposed to be completed in 2023, but I've lost my patience waiting for it to be done, and will just show you the cycling network here as is anyway. Just thought I wanted to take this time to mention the rather systematic numbering systems used in this town, both in the block and street numbering. Housing blocks here come in 3 digits, while streets come in 2 digits. In both cases, the first digit denotes the neighborhood in which the block is located. The arterials of Ang Mo Kio are named such that east-west avenues use ascending odd numbers from the south to the north, while north-south avenues use ascending even numbers from the west to the east. These made navigating this big town's gridiron street layout a lot easier for its time. It took about 12 minutes to get through this 2-kilometer stretch of Avenue 10, compared to 7 minutes on bus service 45. Along the way, I passed 3 different neighborhood centers: Teck Gee Square, Chong Bun Center, and Chen San Center. I will now begin my journey along the Ang Mo Kio Avenue 5 Park Connector at the Ang Mo Kio North Flyover. This park connector forms a part of the Central Urban Loop launched in 2015, and more recently, the Central Coast to Coast Trail, although the park connector has already been here in 2011. It is also a trunk cycling route connecting Ang Mo Kio with Hougang. The path passes by ITE College Central, which opened in 2013. This will be one of the 3 Institute of Technical Education campuses in Singapore. Crossing Ang Mo Kio Drive, I passed the worksite of Pine View at Ang Mo Kio, a SERS housing precinct that would trigger the development of Neighbourhood 8, the first new neighbourhood in Ang Mo Kio, since the first 6 were built nearly half a century ago. The precinct is located to my right, on the other side of this drain, and the park connector here comes in the form of a dedicated walking path to my left next to a cycling path to my right. I'm currently passing Nanyang Polytechnic, another post-secondary education institution, which was opened earlier in 1992. I'm also approaching the North-South Line Viaduct, and this is where my journey along this park connector would end. To continue, feel free to watch the video for the western sector. It's now time to have a look at the cycling path network within the numerous neighborhood streets serving the eastern half of Ang Mo Kio. Let's begin with Street 53, shall we, where we see Anderson Secondary School passing by on the opposite side of the street, and the Chengshan Crest precinct to my right. Like most of the blocks in this part of town, they were completed towards the tail end of the original development period of Ang Mo Kio, around the year 1980. Space is taken from the adjacent green verge to widen the path for cycling, as is evidenced by the retaining walls, holding back the soil on my right. I just want to note that the traffic volumes along this street is pretty low, and that's because this street is a dead-end street. As the MRT tracks are in the way, Street 53 ends in a cul-de-sac next to 512 Ang Mo Kio Avenue 8. Unfortunately, this also means that the official cycling path leads nowhere. Of course, you can turn left onto a covered walkway to the MRT station. You can also turn right and take a lift up an overhead bridge that will bring you across the train tracks to Avenue 8 or the town centre. But I will not be doing that in this video, so that the cycling tours episode does not devolve into a lift tours. The zebra crossing across Street 53 is a little far from its uncontrolled junction with Street 52, which makes walking less convenient here, but this is no big problem for cycling. I'm now travelling along Street 52, where you can see a couple of newer named precincts to my right, City View at Chengshan, Park Central at AMK, and Chengshan Court. Jingshan Primary School is also opposite this street, and I suppose care has been taken in this town to ensure that cycling paths refrain from travelling on the same side as schools to keep bikes away from school children. Up ahead, we will pass Chengshan Center, the neighbourhood centre of Neighbourhood 5. It's worth noting that up until this point, I've gone through the bulk of Neighbourhood 5 without encountering a single street with 4 lanes. This makes for a rather serene bike journey through this neighbourhood, in a generally pleasant environment, following the spirit of the neighbourhood's name, which means Quiet Hill. The only caveat to this is that the cycling network isn't good at providing a direct path to the town centre, but this shouldn't be as much of a problem once the cycling path along Street 51 and the linear park along Avenue 8 are completed, perhaps in 2026. I'm now moving on to Street 54, a crescent-shaped street serving the eastern half of the neighborhood, which is bounded by the Central Expressway to its east. The cycling path switches sides from that of Street 52, perhaps to avoid the special needs Chao Yang School, placing me right next to a bunch of blocks with shops on the first floor, serving this part of the neighborhood. Street 54 makes a sharp turn here, where we pass a bus stop with a covered linkway that is yet to be completed, a clue that the cycling path here is freshly constructed. The red and white construction barricades feature the name of a contractor, which suggests that the cycling paths here are built under contract PL208, awarded in 2021. The cycling path along Street 54 continues along Avenue 10 until I reach a mid-block bicycle crossing, caused by the fact that the two roadways meet at an uncontrolled intersection. Next, we have a look at a stub cycling path along Avenue 3, which doesn't even go very far, starting next to the Tek Gee Parkview precinct. This path provides easy access to Chong Bun Center, one of two neighborhood centers serving Neighborhood 4, the other being Tek Gee Square, which we passed by earlier along Avenue 10. However, this cycling path doesn't continue along Avenue 3 due to the massive disruptions caused by the construction of the Cross Island Line, and will probably stay like so till at least 2026. The lack of such a critical direct link unfortunately makes the cycling network much less useful for bicycle commuters for now, as Avenue 3 is the most direct route for residents here to get from the heartlands to Ang Mo Kio MRT station, the biggest transport node in the vicinity. I will move along to Street 43, where two road lanes were reclaimed from the carriageway to make room for a split cycling path separated from the footpath by a row of trees. This separation is desirable, especially given the street's role as a silver zone. Bikes are still able to exit the cycling path into the neighborhood shops to my left, thanks to strategically placed paths linking various parts of the neighborhood center with the cycling path. Let's now move on to Street 44, which feels quite a bit like Street 54. Once again, the cycling path is probably placed on this side of the street to avoid Pathlight School up ahead, a special school for children with autism. In an ideal world, there will be a cycling facility on both sides of the street, but fortunately, the narrow street is rather easy to cross, with strategically placed informal crossings along the way, ensuring that residents of Tek Gee Grandeur to my left and Tek Gee Horizon to my right have easy access to a cycling facility. I am now moving on to Street 41. This used to be a 4-lane street which has since encountered a lane reduction, such that it now has 1 lane for eastbound traffic and 2 lanes for westbound. This frees up room for a segregated cycling path. I'm therefore cycling on land which used to be a lane for motor vehicles, and you can see how the road narrowing hasn't inexplicably resulted in a gridlock here. This is great. Unfortunately, I have to make a big deviation to a signalized bicycle crossing as I approach the junction with Street 42. I find it bewildering though that a pedestrian overhead bridge is kept here when the street was narrowed. The authorities even doubled down on the green fencing here to discourage jaywalking, since it's now illegal to cross the road within 50 meters of this pedestrian overhead bridge, thanks to the bridge presence. Surely, it would have been better to install at-grade crossings here, rather than to maintain such elaborate crossings over such narrow streets with little traffic. Note that it's possible to ride onto the park connector from this cycling path here, but I will not be taking the park connector, so that I can cover my last street for this video, Street 42. The cycling path here serves the remaining precincts of Chongbun, which I have not mentioned till now. Chongbun View up ahead to my left, Chongbun Heights and Chongbun Rise to my right. It's also cited to avoid passing Deyi Secondary School. Can you see the pattern? I'm starting to feel that the cycling network of Ang Mo Kio is intentionally designed to avoid direct passes with primary and secondary schools. This can help make the road environment next to schools safer for students, though it may also discourage them from considering to cycle as a means of getting to school by making the routes less direct for them. Do discuss if such a move is desirable or not. At this point, I shall return to Ang Mo Kio MRT station through Avenue 3, which sees a lot of construction work for the Cross Island line at the moment. Overall, the paths in this part of Ang Mo Kio remain pretty nice to ride on. It's also encouraging to see lane reductions being done along Ang Mo Kio streets 43 and 41, which made it possible to build physically separated cycling paths that do a better job of minimizing conflicts between pedestrians and active mobility users. However, I would like to challenge the authorities to dream bolder. Don't just repurpose road space along access streets, but do it along arterial roads as well. These are roadways where protected bike paths will have a material change to the quality of life for significantly more people, both intra-town and inter-town, and that would truly be the car-like move that many people would want to see. Also, there are still plenty of critical missing links within the network here, which happen to be the most direct routes for residents of neighborhoods 4 and 5 to get to the MRT station, and I hope they will be patched up very soon. With that, we have come to the end of this episode of Cycling Tours. Do send your thoughts on the cycling network here in the comment section below. Feel free to support me using the Super Thanks function of YouTube. And this is Transit Evolution, signing off.